Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the Russia-Ukrainian war. And we're going to start on the eastern front around Bakhmut. And it would appear that the Russian forces are making some headway near Bakhmut. It would appear that they are increasing the pressure against Ukrainian forces within the vicinity of Bakhmut. It would appear that they are attacking both to the north, center, and south of the town of Bakhmut, looking to eventually break through and quite possibly capture that town. Now, we have seen this going on for some time in terms of the fighting that is taking place near Bakhmut, but this would probably be one of the more successful endeavors by Russian forces of late outside the use of the drones, specifically the Iranian drones that are currently being used in this ongoing war. So the drone in question is the Shahed 136, also known as the Witness 136. That drone has some rather interesting lineage. If you look at the optronics involved, it's a kamikaze drone that has the ability to lock onto a target and then destroy said target. And it looks a lot like, especially in terms of the technology centered on the optronics, they look a lot like what we observed during the Azerbaijan war with Armenia and its use of the Israeli Harpy kamikaze loitering drone system. That system is really designed to target and destroy air defense systems. It is used as an anti-radiation system as well. It can detect the radar emissions from an air defense site and then attacks it. And it can also be used, again, as a loitering munition and somewhat of a reconnaissance platform as well before it destroys itself. But if you look at the optronics, if you look at the technology, if you look at the system itself, it very much resembles the Israeli Harpy. The Witness 136, the Shahed 136, is a bit bigger, has a 80-pound warhead as opposed to a 70-pound warhead, so a bit bigger. It also appears to have a bit more range as well to the Israeli Harpy counterpart. So what I want to do, I'll take you over to where the Iranians are producing these systems. And if I can find it real quick. I know the general locale. So we'll go to Iran, and we'll head south of the capital, Tehran. And I believe it is right here. This is where the Iranian drones are produced, the HESA aircraft manufacturing facility. This is more or less the Lockheed Martin of Iran. They produce aircraft, helicopters, and then obviously drone systems as well. Very large, sprawling systems with R&D facilities, testing facilities, and this is where these drones are manufactured and then deployed by Russian forces. At some point we could see something happen to this site? Difficult to say. But given the Iranian ability to precisely target Saudi Arabia, targets inside of Iraq and other areas, even Israel, with their ballistic missile systems, a little bit more difficult in terms of hitting Israel because of Iron Dome and the multi-layered air defense system that Israel has. A little more challenging for the Iranians to attack Israel. But nonetheless, from where they were 20, 30 years ago to where they are now, if we go back, we look in the late 80s during Operation Praying Mantis, to where the Iranians are now, significantly better position in terms of their industrial military complex. But it looks like, in all probability, the Iranians were able to get a look at the Israeli Harpy, possibly via China. And we know China at one point took delivery of the Harpy, and in all probability, the Iranians were able to get a look-see. And Iran has some pretty good engineers, and we're probably able to reverse engineer a very similar system in terms of what we're seeing now. The Russians are redesignating those systems geranium-2s, and it would be very, very probable that we would see the Russians starting to reverse engineer the Witness 136, the Shahed 136, and start mass producing the Russian geranium-2 loitering kamikaze drone. And by all indications, after some initial bugs were worked out, this is proving to be a very effective system, even much more so than the Russian designed Lancet 2, I believe it's called. But from what we're seeing on the ground and in video evidence, is this Iranian drone is effective, and it is taking out Ukrainian armored vehicles. It is taking out artillery. It is taking out lightly armored trucks and non-armored trucks and troops in the open, and is causing the Ukrainians quite some headaches right now. And again, in all probability, I would say within the next few months, I do believe we will start to see the Russians mass producing this system. If the Iranians can get around sanctions and produce cruise missiles, tanks, armored vehicles, aircraft to a lesser extent, drones, ballistic missiles, then so can the Russians. They have access to technology from China, chipsets from China. So I have no worries, and I do not believe that Western sanctions will, in terms of a long-term effort by Russian forces to produce weapon systems, will really harm the Russian military-industrial complex. Obviously, it's caused some setbacks, but they will adapt. They will resource many of these systems, these chips, these items that of high technology that they need for their weapon systems from different sources. It's also likely that some of this technology that the Iranians are using now is, for all intents and purposes, Chinese systems that could have been handed over to the Iranians and are all being handed over, and the Iranians are just acting as frontmen for the Chinese with the delivery of some of these systems to the Russians. Very possible. The next thing we'll probably see is some of these Iranian ballistic missile systems that also have very, very close resemblance to some Chinese systems as well. We know, given the attack on the U.S. air base in Iraq, they were very precise. They were accurate. They did what they were designed to do. And again, in all probability, we'll start to see those as well being fielded by the Russians. Now, obviously, the Russians are able to reproduce that technology. The Iskanders, in all probability, is of higher quality than these inbound Iranian systems or even Chinese systems in terms of the semi-ballistic missile technology. We're also continuing to watch what is happening on the western bank of the Dnieper River. Operations continue there, although it would appear that the Russians have finally got things in hand on the western bank of the Dnieper River. But that's kind of where we set for today. We'll continue to watch things very closely. We're continuing to watch the cruise missile and drone campaign against the Ukrainian energy sector. That is starting to pay dividends for the Russians. But again, that's where we set for today. We'll have more to come very, very soon. Thanks for joining us. And as always, have a good day.